What is going on, Bulls Nation? So we've seen now the effect of Zach less Bulls. So what's going to happen to DeMar? Should we follow the same fate? Let's talk about it right after this.
This is your home for all things Chicago Bulls. Join the conversation. You're listening to Chicago Bulls Nation.
All right, Bulls Nation. So I'm not going to lie. I was one in the camp where I wanted to re-sign Zach Lavine when he was a free agent. I didn't want to give him the max, but it felt like that was the only choice the Bulls had at the time. Other than that, they would lose him. So I was in the camp of sign him. If everything fails, trade him. At least you get something in return. He's an asset. You don't want to let an asset just walk away. And that might still be true, because in that logic back then, you see Chris Paul getting traded, Russell Westbrook, even to an extent Bradley Beal. So the option back then was either to lose Zach Lavine for absolutely nothing. He walks away, maybe sign with the Kings. I don't know who was the free agent back then, who was the cap space, or sign him, let it play out and hopefully trade him and get something in return. And that might still be the case, right? Like it's looking like bleak right now because the reports are no one wanted Zach Lavine. So right now we can't even find a trade partner. So with that being said, the Bulls have to thread this DeMar DeRozan free agency really carefully. Otherwise, they would be in the same position that they are now. And what do I mean by that? One of the reasons why Zach Lavine, that the teams are not lining up for Zach is because of his contract, let's be honest. Not him as a player or not him as a human being. It's his contract is so damn big that it turns off potential buyers. If we do the same thing with DeMar DeRozan in this upcoming free agency, we're going to be in the same position as we are now with Zach Lavine. Meaning, we can't trade a guy, and he's the depreciating asset. Make no mistake about it. In this current iteration of Chicago Bulls, DeMar DeRozan is my favorite player. I own a jersey of DeMar DeRozan. I think he's a vital part of this team, and I want him to continue to be a part of this team because I think he brings value into this team. Not just his scoring, not just his, fourth quarter scoring. I know there's some, flaws in his game. He's old school. He slows the game down. But at the end of the day, if you need a bucket, especially in the fourth, you have DeMar to lean towards too. Does he stop the offense sometimes and make it stagnant? Sure. But beyond his production, his relationship with the younger guys, with Patrick Williams, Ayo Dosunmu, Dalen Terry, can't be said. You can't count that out. They like the guy. You can see him in the Windy City Bulls next to the rookies. He's taking them under his wing. And look at Patrick Williams' game. He had a jump shot. The spots that he takes is identical to DeMar DeRozan. So it's beyond his production in the game. With that being said, and I love DeMar DeRozan on this team. He's 34 years old. He's a depreciating asset. We gotta thread carefully on how long and how much we sign this guy for. And I'll give a number out here. We should not sign him for the max that he should receive, in my opinion, and this might be high as well, is $25 million. 5 more than Vucevic. And I think that's fair. If anyone would want to give him anything more than that, good luck. And you should let him walk away. Again, my first reaction is to keep DeMar. If we can keep DeMar, in the free agency class for next year is pretty darn good. They got like the Kawhis and the Paul George. They're older as well. They're better than DeMar at this point. Is there any real possibility that the Bulls would get him? Probably not. This free agency class, as good as it looks, might not turn out to be as what we think it is. But with that being said, I want to keep DeMar. I really want him to retire as a Bull. But the Bulls have to be smart and not just give him Zach Lavine money. Yes, he's important to the development of these young guys. Yes, he is still a highly efficient player. Like he is still playing at a high level. But with that being said, you don't want to get into his 36, 37 years old and you cannot unload him. You don't want to be in that position. So learn from this Zach Lavine mistake. And I still think we can trade Zach out. Do I still think that is the best, route to take that time to sign him to a max? It's hard to say, right? But so far, it's biting us in the ass. Can't get rid of the guy. And you can have this argument that we are that much better without Zach Lavine. And that's that's not to say anything about his character. It's just his game just impedes the progress of our young guys. You can see them just playing freely now. Like they're not afraid to make a mistake. That even if they make a mistake, they won't be cussed out. Or I'm not saying Zach Lavine cussed out, but they won't be in the bench because he's not in the game. And it's not completely his fault, but that's just the way it is. So with DeMar, I don't think he does have that effect because he does change his game. He became a bit more facilitator. He doesn't mind taking the back seat, but again, you don't want to just hand him a big chunk of money and be in the same position. Now, you want to be in a position where when it's time to trade him, other teams are not going to be like, I don't know about that. He makes too much. It has to be fair. I'm not saying sign DeMar for 15 because that's impossible. He's not going to take that. But something fair, nothing absurd that the other teams would take a pause and not take him. But let me know in the comments, should we even keep DeMar at that point? Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video.